Hi everyone. Today we're unpacking some key literary terms. I'll define each term, share a quick everyday example, then connect it to Oscar Wilde's The Selfish Giant so you can hear the idea in action. Imagery. Imagery is language that makes readers feel the scene by tapping their five senses. Everyday example: the warm cookies smelled like vanilla and melted chocolate. In Wilde's opening paragraph, we read about soft green grass and delicate blossoms of pink and pearl, while birds sang so sweetly that the children stopped to listen. Those words let us see color, feel softness, and almost hear the music, turning the page into a mini movie in our minds. Simile. A simile compares two things using like or as. Everyday example: her smile was as bright as the sun. Wilde describes beautiful flowers like stars scattered across the grass. The single word like helps us picture tiny blossoms twinkling just the way stars do in the night sky. Metaphor. A metaphor says one thing is another. Everyday example: the classroom was a zoo. Inside the giant's garden, it is always winter, even when spring shines everywhere else. Winter isn't just a season here, it's a metaphor for the giant's frozen, selfish heart. Later, as he learns kindness, the changing seasons reflect the changes in his emotions. Symbolism. A symbol is an object or action that stands for a bigger idea. Everyday example: a dove stands for peace. In the story, the wall the giant builds around his garden symbolizes selfishness and separation. When he finally knocked down the wall with an axe, the broken stones symbolize an open heart and restored friendship. Allusion. An allusion is a quick nod to something famous the author expects readers to recognize. When the little boy returns, on the palms of the child's hands were the prints of two nails, and the prints of two nails were on the little feet. Wilde never says Jesus, but the image alludes to the crucifixion. One short detail brings in a huge idea: sacrifice and redemption, without a long explanation. Personification. Personification is when we give human qualities to animals, objects, or ideas. That means we describe something non-human as if it could think or feel or act like a person. Here's a simple example. The tired sun dragged itself below the horizon. The sun isn't actually tired and it can't drag itself anywhere, but by describing it that way, we get a stronger picture in our mind. It helps us imagine the sunset more clearly, almost like the sun had a long day and needed rest. Writers use personification to make their writing more emotional and easier to connect to. When something like a tree or a season feels like it has a mood or personality, it can really change how we picture the scene. But remember, it's just a way of describing things. We're not saying those objects actually have feelings or thoughts. Anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism is when animals or objects don't just seem human, they actually act like people. They talk, they wear clothes, they have jobs, they make decisions like real characters. Think about the tale of Peter Rabbit. Peter Rabbit doesn't just move like a person, he wears a jacket, sneaks into a garden, and runs away from the farmer like a mischievous kid. He behaves like a full character in a story with thoughts and goals of his own. Anthropomorphism turns animals or things into real characters with human behavior. Writers use it to make stories more fun or to help us understand lessons in a way that feels light and familiar. It's a favorite tool in fables and fairy tales. Basically, anytime you see a talking animal or a magical object with a personality, you're seeing anthropomorphism at work. Now, in The Selfish Giant, the line between the two gets a little blurry. The snow wears a cloak, the frost paints trees, and the north wind brags and invites friends over. At first, this sounds like personification, descriptive language that gives them life. They speak, make decisions, and even invite other types of weather to the garden. That's when we cross into anthropomorphism. In stories like this, the two ideas kind of blend, and that's okay. It just shows how flexible and fun figurative language can be. Elements of literature. Mood. Mood is the overall feeling a story creates. When the garden is trapped in winter, the mood feels bleak and lonely. When spring bursts back, the mood shifts to joyful celebration. Theme. Theme is the big life lesson. The selfish giant teaches that selfishness breeds loneliness, but kindness brings warmth and community. Plot. Plot is the chain of events: problem, build-up, climax, resolution. Children play happily in the garden. Giant returns, builds a wall, and winter settles in. One small boy slips in. The giant's heart melts. Giant tears down the wall. Spring returns. Years later, the boy, now a mysterious figure, leads the giant to paradise. Each step pushes the lesson forward. Dynamic character. A dynamic character changes internally. The giant moves from possessive growls to generous laughter, proof that people can grow when they choose empathy. Third person, omniscient point of view. Our narrator stands outside the tale, but knows everyone's feelings: the giant's regret, the children's delight, even the longing of the garden itself. That helicopter view helps us judge actions fairly. Elements of writing. Quotation. A quotation repeats the exact words from a text inside quotation marks. When you write, anchor your ideas with evidence, like, "The giant finally promises, it is your garden now." Quoting proves your point with the author's own voice. Quick review. Imagery, simile, and metaphor paint pictures. Symbolism and illusion add layers. Personification and anthropomorphism animate nature. Mood, theme, plot, dynamic character, and point of view build the story's framework. Precise quotations back up our analysis. Keep listening for these tools as we reread The Selfish Giant. Spotting them will help you see how language choices turn a simple fairy tale into a lesson about opening our hearts.